This isn't right. The 3 little pigs are the victims.
Blew down 2 houses. You got what you deserve.
But the pigs went too far.
They have every right to defend the property.
An event seen from one point of view gives one impression.
Somebody is going to break the law and intrude on you.
You can't protect yourself in your own home.
A man's home is his castle.
Seen from another point of view, it gives quite a different impression.
If someone tried to blow my house down, I'll do the same.
But it's only when you get the whole picture you can fully understand what's going on.
The wolf had asthma, so what's the truth about the pigs' houses being blown down? Inside job.
There's no reason why those 2 houses, one made from straw, the other from wood, should have collapsed. Not even a healthy wolf's huff and puff could bring them down.
The 3 little pigs have confessed to conspiring to commit insurance fraud, framing the wolf in an attempt to cover their tracks. Their motive was financial, as they struggled to keep up with their mortgage repayments.
Guilt. I can empathise with the pigs.
I'm behind on my payments too.
How could this have happened?
I've lost everything.
Das ist schon ein interessanter Ansatz, den Sie hier fahren. Deutsche Panzer gegen Russland in der Ukraine. Das haben schon Ihre Großväter versucht, übrigens damals auch schon mit den Melniks und Banderas. Und was ist das Ergebnis? Unsägliches Leid, zig Millionen Tote auf beiden Seiten und am Ende russische Panzer hier in Berlin. Und 2 davon stehen hier vorne und Sie sollten jeden Morgen daran vorbeigehen und sich daran erinnern.
The British government has learned that Saddam Hussein recently sought significant quantities of uranium from Africa. Our intelligence sources tell us that he has attempted to purchase high-strength aluminum tubes suitable for nuclear weapons production. Saddam Hussein does not credibly explain these activities. He clearly has much to hide. The dictator of Iraq is not disarming. To the contrary, he is deceiving you.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere. Only last Thursday, as evidence of this rapid offensive buildup was already in my hand, Soviet Foreign Minister Gromyko told me in my office that he was instructed to make it clear once again, as he said his government had already done, that Soviet assistance to Cuba, and I quote, pursued solely the purpose of contributing to the defense capabilities of Cuba, unquote. That, and I quote him, training by Soviet specialists of Cuban nationals in handling defensive armaments was by no means offensive, and that if it were otherwise, Mr. Gromyko went on, the Soviet government would never become involved in rendering such assistance, unquote. That statement also was false. Acting therefore in the defense of our own security and of the entire Western Hemisphere, and under the authority entrusted to me by the Constitution, as endorsed by the resolution of the Congress, I have directed that the following initial steps be taken immediately. To halt this offensive buildup, a strict quarantine on all offensive military equipment under shipment to Cuba is being initiated. All ships of any kind bound for Cuba, from whatever nation or port, will, if found to contain cargoes of offensive weapons, be turned back. It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States, requiring a full retaliatory response upon the Soviet Union. I call upon Chairman Khrushchev to halt and eliminate this clandestine, reckless, and provocative threat to world peace and to stable relations between our two nations. I call upon him further to abandon this course of world domination and to join in an historic effort to end the perilous arms race and to transform the history of man. Our goal is not the victory of might, but the vindication of right. Not peace at the expense of freedom, but both peace and freedom here in this hemisphere, and we hope around the world. God willing, that goal will be achieved.
The story of the last 12 months is that sooner or later, having exhausted all the other options, we give them what they need, from anti-tank missiles to HIMARS to tanks. And so if that is the choice, sooner or later, then for heaven's sake, let's give these weapons sooner. It's absurd for Western supporters to keep asking the Ukrainians, as they were pressed at the Munich Security Conference, how long is this going to take? The answer to that question is to a large extent determined by us. It is a fine thing that we finally promised tanks, but there is no conceivable ground for delay in getting them to Ukraine. We need those machines, Abrahams, Challengers, Leopards, to make a real difference in real time in the next few weeks, not next year. It's admirable that we're proposing to train Ukrainian fighters to fly NATO fast jets. I hear the caution of my honourable friend. But it's curious that we're doing this before we've even taken the decision in principle to give them the planes. Let's cut to the chase and give them the planes too. And if the House was in any doubt about the urgency of increasing our supply of equipment to the Ukrainians, it is becoming ever clearer that China is preparing to arm the Russians.